Alrighty then. I kind of got my bearings with the bike this year, and I realized that on my last video I took probably the slowest damn route I possibly could have. Now this way is a lot better. It's actually a little bit faster, both in time it takes and speeds. The corners here are much better for a review, and I figured I'd kind of recap this bike and kind of show you what it's all about. Now last time, all that downhill, I did a lot on the brakes, and it was kind of a slow cadence, especially with the review. This time I want to get more into how this bike performs and a little bit less about how it feels. It isn't necessarily the fastest thing. Excuse me. Thank you. And you'll see, obviously I'm rocking a bit more pace. I've commuted every day for the last 2 weeks on the bike. The weather has been gracious enough to let me do so. Get some miles on it. And now I have some mods to list. Something that I didn't really go over last time. As you can tell, I'm testing out my brakes here. Hard acceleration, kind of parking it in the turns. Feeling out my grip. Out here it's a bit I'm not actually going to ride very fast today, but you know, best to be safe. I have the Brembo SR compound pads in the front, and that is the only braking mod. I have obviously different levers, but that doesn't change how well it brakes. The CNC shorty levers, and I have some Rizoma reservoirs, but shiny bits don't exactly make bikes go fast. The only other, I'm going to call it performance mod on this bike, would be the exhaust, which is the the Aero cans and the Aero Ducati with a T800. Now I'm running the map that does not include an air filter, so it's really mild, if not minimal gains. If anything that I felt, this bike gained a little bit in the mid-range. Nothing too crazy. It's mostly just for mostly everyone else, auditory experience. Now I have to wear earplugs. This thing, since the exhaust port's comes right out underneath your tail, I have a AGV Corsa R. This is known to be a rather loud helmet, so I'm always wearing earplugs. I'm currently using the Loop earplugs. They're quite nice. They sit flush, and you know, I don't like the foam stuff. These are adjustable, so I can adjust them to whatever kind of noise level I want. This exhaust is not necessarily thumpy. I would kind of call it a little raspy now that the cat's gone. And let's see if I can post a video of the exterior. It's a bit rowdy. You are going to get noticed. I'm not even, I don't know, I have the feeling that if I didn't remove the cat, I'd still be quite happy with this. It's loud. It's really, really loud. It's kind of obnoxious. Do run track days at Thunderhill, Laguna Seca, and this year I'll be doing Sonoma. I'll make sure to get some videos. The exhaust does all the pops and crackles and shoots flames. Pretty fun. I'm curious as to what my next mods will do to it. I'm looking at doing the sprint filter and retuning it. It has some weirdness in the mid-range. I'm going to say between 4,000 and 6,000 RPM when you're just kind of bopping around like this. You're trying to maintain a speed. The bike feels like it kind of stumbles a little. Now, I realize other people had some issues with the tanks. I had that issue as well. The tank has a liner that melts, and that melted liner coats your throttle bodies. Not very cool. Every model has it. Just depends on what gas you use, whether the gas like melts that liner or not. I can't remember exactly what the compound was, but I'm sure Google search will remedy that lack of information. the bike's overall stock. It has quick shifter, brake pads, exhaust, big whoop. Really, you can have a blast on these things. This is the standard bike. It's not the SP. You don't need, you know, that, what is that, $4,000 price difference, $3,000 price difference? It's cool, don't get me wrong. I think the SP is absolutely viable for track use. I personally kind of wish I got it since I'll be spending a bit more time on the track, but it's not necessary. I mean, the biggest things, if you get the standard, I recommend the quick shifter, and I recommend having your suspension professionally set up. This was done by Dave Moss, and I've done some tweaks to it as I've increased pace and as the weather changes. Definitely feels better now. It's not quite so, a little stoppy there. It's not quite so soft. And as you can see, I can do little stoppies just for funs, coming up over the crest. Gotta watch out for pressing too much on one side of the bar or the other, but you don't want to yeet yourself into oblivion. It really is a riotous bike. You'll see, you have so much torque. I can pretty much bog it down to like 3,000 RPM and pull right out of turns, full throttle. It'll get into the mid-range, I'm gonna say 5,000, 6,000 RPM. That's when the front tire is gonna start getting light, like in second gear. If you rip on it a bit, like if you pull up on the bars, you can pull the front tire up in third. I've been able to do it in fourth, but only at sea level, really. Up here in the mountains, it's kind of anemic. I've had the opportunity since my last video to ride two very important bikes to kind of gauge this bike. I rode my fiance's Street Fighter V2. That thing is a blast. It is so fast, absolutely faster than this bike. And one thing it does lack is streetability. This bike is so much better on the street than the Street Fighter, which really, name-wise, doesn't make a whole lot of sense for the Street Fighter. You would think that the Street Fighter would be better on the street. No, this thing absolutely is. The Street Fighter is basically a track weapon with bars. And I did have the opportunity to ride a V4S. Me and my fiance picked one up a couple weeks ago, or 3 weeks now. And that thing is stupid. I don't even think it's a street bike at all. The fact that she rides it on the street, insane. I'm so glad she can handle that, and apparently for both of us, actually, we do find it to be a bit more streetable than the Street Fighter V2. Very strange. The mid-range on the V2 is kind of not good for the street, kind of bogs out. The Panigale is just like, yeah, whatever. But you guys aren't here for that, you're here for this. This bike has power everywhere. It's stupid. I don't get it. You know, like, look, bogging, second gear, full throttle. Pulls right out, no problem. No bogs, just kind of up on the way. These roads right here are what this bike can handle. Now, if you're looking for a supermoto, this can do it. I wouldn't say it's the best supermoto. It's really not a supermoto. It's a motard. It's too big of a bike. It's too heavy. It's got too much power. It does more sport bike oriented stuff with a little supermoto flair. That's kind of where I'd put this. It'll do track days. It'll do 100 plus easily. But what it won't do is weigh under 300 pounds. And you'll see here, you pull in, you really have to lean off the bike to really be comfortable in these turns. If you push the bike down, you're really risking your grip. You don't want to do that. This can be really dangerous up in the hills. So squeeze me. Much obliged. Yep. Does all the little pops. See, third gear, it's gonna roll in. Up down to second. One problem I have with this bike, I'm going to show you in a second once this straightens out, is that my knee, see, I'm not going to move my body positioning at all. Nothing. You end up putting a lot of weight into the bars. And that's kind of sketchy when you want to really hang off the bike. I don't really like doing that. Now you can see here I'm in third. Was that 4,000 RPM? Pull right out. Full throttle. I have no wheelie control on, and it'll just do it. No problem at all. Smooth as butter. What's up? On the brakes, second gear. Caught on my throttle. That was wonky. Up. And yep. And throttle out. On the brakes. This thing dives quite a bit. It has a lot of suspension travel, that which the Street Fighter did not, which really kind of puts this thing in a very weird comfort class. You're not sitting in the bike, you're sitting on it. So you have to really hang off of it to get that lower center of gravity, which you really want in turns like this. Now you could, you know, put a foot out, but it really slows you down. Here you can see, really hang off. Now, the rear suspension has quite a lot more play than the Street Fighter. It is quite nice. Now, this is the Miyazaki front shocks. I realized I got that confused last time. I love them. A little bit on the rougher side. I got a chance to ride the SP. The SP had very nice Öhlins. Would I recommend getting the SP for track? Yes. Is it necessary if you do mostly street? Absolutely not. Forged wheels? Cool. Don't notice it on the street. Get good tires, get your suspension set up, and you're golden. Oh, why thank you, sir. Fog, go down to fourth, and you can just kind of drop your way through, no problem. Oh, would you look at that gorgeous piece of sheet metal, so pretty. Alright, so a big part of this bike that people were kind of asking about was where it's happy. This bike's happy in kind of this third, fourth gear range. Second gear is really fun, but obviously you're going to spend most of your time third and fourth. You can plug along third gear very happily in most, you know, street-like speeds. So here you can see I'm doing, I don't know, mid-50s, and I'm barely cracking over 6,000 RPM. Shift to fourth, and off we go. Just do it safely. I've done a lot of wheelies. I make sure I have plenty of space. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be sure to answer them as best to my ability in the comments. Ride safe, folks. You know, this is everyone's hobby for a reason. It's fun. It's an absolute blast. But take it easy. Do what you can within your limits, and don't push your limits on the street. That's a big one. Go to the track. This thing's awesome on the track. it passes bikes that it shouldn't be able to pass. I think a very comparable bike in speed would be the Street Triple, which has more horsepower but less torque. This thing blasts past it coming out of turns, but they'll really win on the long runs. So on a short track, I'd say this bike's faster. That's a wrecked Gixxer, I believe. You see some fairings over there. Unfortunate group ride incident. We saw them leave down the road over here at the restaurant. Saw them leave and kind of had a bad feeling. There's probably close to 20 bikes in that group, all young kids. Like, if you're getting into the sport, don't show off. Like, ride well within your limits, please, because stupid stuff like that can happen. Luckily the kid's okay, at least from what I can tell. I saw someone walking around that looked like he took a little dig and didn't see anything in the police report for injuries, but still, like, take it easy. Ride your ride. Don't let other people ride your ride for you. Like, if you're having an off day, take it easy. Alright, I'm gonna cut it out. Take care.